evening, everybody. So good to see people. I've been locked reading books all day and half day and had a little treat today, so it's good to see people and not just words. Glad to have everyone here today and glad that you are in this season of decision making and hearing and making informed decisions. We just want to thank you for being here at the Zion Church. I have my overcoat on because I was trying to be in the parking lot to greet people as they were coming. So we're just glad to have you. Feel free. Our restrooms are in the back and also in this corner here. And while we don't have any refreshments for you, if you happen to smell some refreshments, let me know so I can also get them too. Just glad to have you in here tonight. Let's bow our heads. Lord, we thank you for this moment as we come together. We thank you, God, for who you are, all that you do. God, I pray that you will speak through this forum tonight. God, that we will hear your voice clearly to make a clear decision, an informed decision. We thank you, God, for being able to have this occasion in your house and your place of worship. God, we thank you for order. We thank you for your guidance. Thank you, God, for your presence. We pray that everyone will be blessed. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, I turn it back now into the hands of Ms. Jennifer, who is the president of the NAACP and Newport News, who's coming up at this time. At least I think I'm right about it. Let's give her a hand as she comes forward. Awesome. Amen.
Thank you so much. Okay. You fall over no tree or nothing, Pastor. Why don't you fall over no tree? Hello, everybody, and welcome, welcome, welcome to our Newport News School Board Debate Forum. Thank you all so much for coming out. I am Jennifer Burgess Brooks, and I bring you greetings from the Newport News NAACP. So we are so delighted on this evening that you came out to join us for this forum and that you are concerned about our city and our children here in this great city of Newport News. Our vision with the Newport News NAACP, of course, involves social justice. We want to disrupt inequality, dismantle racism, remove disparities, and we want to accelerate change here in the city of Newport News. And some of the ways that we want to do that is through criminal justice and our health care and education is at one of the top of our list. Also, the climate and the economy, we want to help in those areas. And the list goes on and on and on of great things that we want to do here in this city, which is why we're doing this tonight. We also want to bring advocacy for our children, families here in the community, which is why we decided to do this forum, so that you could hear from candidates that are running for the Newport News School Board seat that would represent you and your children. And so we thought that it was important for you to be informed, which is part of what the Newport News NAACP does. We're here as a resource for you. We're here to encourage you. And we also want you to use your voice. So tonight I want to encourage you to use your voice. That's where your power is. That's your right. So we want to encourage you to use your voice by voting and being involved in events like this. So we thank you again for coming. We also invite you to join the Newport News NAACP branch. We meet once a month, every third Thursday at New Beach Grove. And we have several ways that you can get involved. So we would love to have you. We have our table out back, so please stop at our table and join us. It's only $30 a year. So I just want to throw that out there. So we thank you so much for being here. The next thing I wanted to say is that we want to thank our current Newport News School Board. You know, being a part of the school board it's hard work and it's dedication. And the Newport News NAACP, we support them. We know that it's hard work, but we appreciate our school board. And so I just want to acknowledge our two school board members at the back. Dr. Best is here, and the president is here. Stand for us, please. We just want to recognize them and thank them for all their work. Thank you all for what you do. And so we just want them to know that we support them. and that we're just glad to be able to do things like this. And we thank Dr. Tremaine and Zion Baptist for allowing us to use their facility and be here on tonight. Let's give them a hand. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so without any further ado, I'm going to introduce our moderator. And I apologize up front that I'm going to have to leave because I'm in the Citizen Academies class, and this is my last class. And so I have to step out for that, but other than that, I will be here for the whole event. But I'm going to introduce our moderator for tonight, which I'm glad to do. Her name is Vicki Williams Cullins. She has been described as a tenacious, passionate, a community activist, and a servant leader. Vicki is determined to be a change agent within her sphere of influence. She is an entrepreneur, social justice, health, equity, voting rights advocate, and an active member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. In her spare time, Vicki enjoys spending the time with her husband Terry and their miniature Schnauzer Sugarfoot. Sugarfoot.
Hello? I probably need to hold it because I'm pretty loud. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. I really appreciate your interest, and this is part of your civic duties, to be a part of this. You know what, Joey? I don't know if I need this mic. Hold on. Can y'all hear me out there? Do I need the mic? Okay, all right. I just want to make sure because it sounded like I was echoing. So what I'd like to do first is I'd like to introduce the candidates. The first candidate is Marlon Pendergraft. He is a lifelong resident of Newport News. He graduated from Warwick High School in 2003. He met his wife at Warwick. Oh, that's nice. High school sweethearts, I love it. And they have been happily married for 19 years with 2 children, 16 and 19 years old. His son recently graduated from Warwick High School, and his daughter is currently enrolled in the Newport News public school system. He joined the U.S. Navy after high school, serving as an operations specialist. He is currently a fire captain with the Newport News Fire Department and a substitute teacher. Mr. Pendergrass, if you would come up, would y'all give him a hearty welcome, please? Right there, sir. Right there. All right, thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Maritza Alger. Yay. She is running for Newport News School Board in the South District. She has contributed to the field of education for a total of 36 years as a teacher, parent, executive director, appointed school board member, principal, assistant principal, and much more. She has worked as a teacher for students with disabilities and as a teacher specialist for Norfolk Public Schools. Additionally, she's received an educational leadership degree from Old Dominion University, Master of Arts degree from Hampton University, and a Bachelor's of Science degree at New York University. She has been a resident of Newport News for the past 36 years. She has raised her family along with her husband, loving husband, Tim Alger, a proud Navy veteran. Tim is a graduate of Christopher Newport University and the Assistant Director of Finance with Technico. Thank you. I appreciate that. They have 2 amazing children, Kristen, a public defender, and Timothy, a secondary math teacher. Attended Newport News Public Schools, and Timothy graduated from Warwick High School? All right. All right. Welcome. Come on up. Give her a round of applause, y'all. Thank you so much. All right, so I want to read to are great candidates, the rules for the forum. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for their opening remarks. Question and answers, you have 90 seconds to answer. Rebuttal. A candidate wanting to rebuttal or clarify a statement must follow the following procedures for the rebuttal. Raise your hand to be recognized by the moderator. Me. The candidates will have 30 seconds to rebut a statement. Only one rebuttal challenge per candidate per question. Do we all understand? All right. Closing statement. Is your mic on? Sounding like Prince.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Your mic on? That's what Prince said.
Can you hear me?
Your mic's on.
There we go.
Closing.
I sound less like Prince.
You good?
Yes, ma'am.
Closing statement. Each candidate is given an opportunity, 2 minutes to conclude with a final statement. Now, the gentleman right there, tell me your name again? Isaac. Isaac is the timekeeper. Isaac, will you hold up your yellow card, sir? Yellow card means you have 15 seconds. Will you hold up your red card, sir? Red card means stop. And that means stop. All right. So, we are nonpartisan. So we're going to start off with a question. We ready? Mrs. Alger, would you briefly introduce yourself and explain why you are interested in serving as a board member representing the South District?
Yes. My name is Maritza Alger, and I am very much interested in representing the South District. The South District is a district that I have absolutely passion for. Growing up, I grew up in New York City, in the Bronx, in an area where education was very, 20% of the students read on level. It was high poverty and an area that honestly was not taken care of locally by politicians and also by people that were working at levels that could make decisions. I feel that I'm running because I want to be able to do what was not done for me as a child. I want to be able to serve the kids in our community and give them the very best. I want to be able to make sure that our kids get excellence and they're met with high standards. I've been a teacher, a school principal, even executive director, and I can tell you that during the time that I have served with excellence. And that's my commitment. Like I said, I've been saying all along, education is my promise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Mr. Pendergraft.
All right. First of all, thank you to everybody that came out tonight. It's a wonderful Thursday evening, and you guys decided to be with us. So I can't thank you enough, and I appreciate you. Like she said, my name is Marlon Pendergraft, and I'm running for school board here in the South District. This is actually my third attempt. I've been running since 2020. We had a lot of issues with my daughter in school being bullied, and all of our issues fell on deaf ears. So that's why I decided as a parent to step up. So my wife Heather, who's over here to my left, we have 2 children, born and raised in this fine city of Newport News, come from 16th and Chestnut. I live off of Harpersville now, so I'm a part of this community, been a part of this community and since birth. I am a Newport News fire captain, as spoken before. I was a U.S. Navy veteran. I was an operations specialist prior to being in the fire department. And so for me, I am always priority is safety in our schools. We've seen so much happen within our school system, whether that means the violence, the bullying, the shootings, and everything else that's going on. So for me, safety is a huge thing. I ran on that since 2020. I'm still running on the same issues because these issues aren't being fixed. I'm running on not only financial literacy, I'm running on mental health support for our students, our staff members. I'm running on providing opportunities via apprenticeships and internships for our kids. I want to make sure that our children, when they graduate, they're actually students.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thank you so much, Mr. Pendergraft. So the next question I will pose to you, sir. How familiar are you with the current education policies and challenges in the South District?
All right, so the question is, how
How
where-
familiar, let me repeat it.
Okay.
How familiar are you with the current education policies and challenges in the South District?
All right, first of all, I didn't know there was specific policies just for the South District. There's challenges and policies throughout our entire city. I don't want to be the face of our issues within the South community. I don't want to be, as black folks, the face of issues, all right? So I want to make sure that this is known, that the policies and issues are all throughout the city of Newport News, and all kids are having challenges throughout our city. These issues aren't a color-based, these issues aren't a sex-based, these issues aren't a race-based. These issues are challenging all of our students. And I'm fully aware that our issues as far as the city goes is that we're dealing with a cycle of poverty, we're dealing with a cycle of violence, we're dealing with a cycle of issues that many other cities are dealing with, but nobody's actually getting to the root cause of our issues, which means that we need to get into these communities and figure out what our community needs, and our community needs opportunity economically, not so much of stopping and trying to promote one small section of our community. We need to be doing this as a one. There's no central, there's no south, there's no north. We need to be doing this as one city. And the only way to do that is to get out in each one of our communities and bring economics and bring safety and bring the priorities of what that community needs. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Alger, would you like me to reread the question, or are you okay?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've done early on, and something about myself, before I draw conclusions, I like to observe and ask questions. To me, it's very important to basically investigate and figure out what is it that's happening. And one of the things that I did was I met with the Coalition of Concerned Clergy, and I spoke to them about exactly what is it that you would want from us in terms of the school board. How is it that we can serve you? Because that is what we should be. We should be of service. And one of the concerns that was indicated was the issue of safe spaces, making sure that our kids, for example, Huntington had been closed down. Where would our kids go to after school? Where would they be? And I completely understand that because of the fact that our children after school need to be kept busy in meaningful ways. So one of the things that I did was I visited Boys and Girls Club. I went to the Achievable Dream Tennis Center. I believe it was on a Sunday, to see exactly how many children were we talking about. I took pictures, spoke to the gentleman in terms of what is that we can do, and one of the answers was clearly we need to open up our schools so that our schools are places, safe places that our kids can walk to and can enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Pendergraft has his rebuttal. Sir?
Awesome, thank you. For one, I've been closed out of this concerned clergy where I haven't been able to speak. So I wanted to put that out there. I don't think it's fair that one candidate has had the opportunity to speak to a concerned clergy when all of us, or both of us, haven't had that opportunity. So yes, I would love to sit down with the concerned clergy and actually have that conversation, because I do believe there's no spaces in this world when they become adults. We need preparing these children for when they become adults.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Alger, the next question. What steps would you take to ensure equity and inclusivity in our schools?
Absolutely. What we need to look is to make sure that the policies are serving all children. And to give you an example, one of the things that I think is really important is in the area of special education. I've worked as a special education teacher where I'd made sure that policies were written to give access to kids with disabilities. To me, making sure that when we walk into the schools, that our students are receiving the same kind of treatment in terms of if there's a discipline issue, how is it being investigated? What kind of due process are we providing to the kids? are the different, let's say, in terms of how the kids are given, just the infractions, how they're being looked at. Is it being looked at equitably based on the handbooks that are provided to our educators? So the whole thing to me is about fairness. And one thing I have to say that I've always been, and I can tell you, when I ran my school, I made sure that teachers knew that we had to treat everyone fairly and make sure that we provide everyone the best education. All parents had to be treated with respect. Regardless of how they came at us, we are to come back at them with incredible respect. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Pendergraft.
Yes, ma'am.
What steps would you take to ensure equity and inclusivity in our schools?
First of all, equity and inclusive is a political buzzwords that I will not stand for. I stand for equality, and what that means is providing opportunities equal across the board for all of our children. This equality, not every child's going to have the equal outcomes because there's a difference in the way a child approaches a situation, whether that means the decision-making process, the effort they put into it. We need to be focusing on making sure that our children all have an equal seat at the table, and then they go on from there, okay? If we can provide that mindset of effort and decision-making to our children, I guarantee you they're going to put that effort into it, all right? I've been around, I've done, as Ms. Alger said, I've been around with the special education. I want all these opportunities for our children, but it's up to them to take those opportunities that I give them and actually make something of themselves, because equality is where we need to be. Okay, these equity things that we speak of is something that you see on TV, and those are buzzwords that we hear, and that's not fair. That a child isn't fair that they're born in a certain family, and then you want to take away from them, and you expect all of the same outcomes. That's not realistic in the world. We need to make sure that our children have what they need from the beginning, and then it's up to them to go out and do what's possible to make sure they have a good outcome for themselves.
Thank you, Mr. Pendergraft. Mrs. Alger.
I wish equality would be something real, but it's not. There are many of us who have been around and not been treated equal. And I want you to, and this is important to know, okay? Because the truth is that is the reason education exists, is so that we can make sure that all children are treated correctly. And that is why I do what I do. There are times that kids were excluded. In special education in particular.
Thank you, Ms. Alger.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Pendergraft.
All right.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Oh,
One
okay.
rebut per person.
Yes, ma'am.
You already had yours. She just had hers.
I
So,
have a rebuttal, though.
no.
Okay.
Only
Yes, ma'am.
one.
Yes, ma'am. I apologize.
No worries. How do you plan to engage parents and the community in the South District in the decision-making process?
Oh, awesome. I'm glad you asked that question.
Yes,
so
sir.
I've already started talking with parents. I'm in the community as far as the Southeast goes. I know that I can do this because it takes a community. I ran on this for 3 years or 3 terms to bring the family and the community back in the school system, because it's important to do this as a team. We can't do this thing as a separate entity. We can't do this as a community versus a school system. It takes all of us to make sure all of our children are doing to provide that education for them. I'm out here in the community. I'm doing pop-ups on Chestnut. I'm doing pop-ups on Wickham, because it's important. If we can break bread and laugh together, we can build that bond together so we can get those families in the school system, because a child cannot, and I do mean not, have that extra advantage if they don't have their family in the school system. It's hugely important to me. So the way I'm going to do it is to do events to bring the families in there. I want that cohesiveness between our families as well as our school system, because we can't do it separately. We can't do it alone. We know that if there's a community school within our city, that child's going to do better. And I want to stop the involuntary busing of our students from out of the Southeast community and to the north part of our community, and bring them back into the community that they live in, so their parents can get to their schools, so they can be a part of that school system, so they can actually be a part of that child's education.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Alger, how do you plan to engage parents and the community in the South District in the decision-making process?
Yes. We've already started in terms of the committees, and Mr. Pendergraph, I believe you are serving on the safety committee.
I should have been.
Okay, okay. And so what we have been doing is getting the voices of different people on these committees to make sure that the different voices are heard. We want parents to not just be engaged at the school level, but also at the district level. And also at the state level. It's important to have parents' voices all across the board. To me, the engagement has to start right in our neighborhoods and right where we are. And I am one that I have visited all the schools. I have gone out to the communities. I have spoken to parents, and I will continue to do the same thing. That is my commitment. As a school principal, it was nothing for me to go across the street and knock on a door and ask a parent, what can I do to support you? That is the kind of person that I am. I'm grassroots. In terms of families, to me, they are important. Our job as schools is to support the families. And my job as a school board member is to make sure that those things are being done at the school level and district-wide, that is the way we do business. And if it's not being done, then we know that it needs to change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Pendergraph?
I'm glad she brought up the safety committee because a lot of the ideas that's being presented now is my ideas. The threat assessments, the unarmed security officers, a lot of those are my things that I run on since 2020. And to be honest, I mean, how many doors have you knocked on in the Southeast community? A lot of that's being done by Terry. Let's be honest with ourselves. I've been out in these streets knocking on doors and meeting with families in the Southeast community, and they haven't seen you.
All right, thank you so much. The last question.
Yes,
You ready? Yes.
I wanted to answer. Yes, Mr. Pendergraph, the threat assessments have been around for a long time. Folks have been trained across the state on threat assessments. It's supposed to be done whenever someone is making a threat assessment is immediately done. It's not anything that anyone came up with. It's something at the state level that has been imposed as far as a practice and a policy across the state.
For one,
All right,
I didn't get
sir,
the rebuttal.
sir,
I didn't get the
sir,
rebuttal last time.
Sir,
when she went,
sir,
I didn't get the rebuttal.
sir,
That's not fair.
Sir, it's one question per candidate. We're not going to go back and forth. All right, so I'm going to ask you this final question, and then I'll come to you, Mr. Pendergraph, as well as we have questions that are available for the audience.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Alger, how would you handle public criticism or pressure from interest groups?
Interest groups, of course, they want to come and speak and be heard. And I'd be more than willing to hear what folks in terms of interest groups want to bring to the table. But I think at the end of the day, what's most important for us to do is always remember that whatever decisions we make it for children. And that's where I've been, that's the world I live in, that's how I've been trained, and that's who I am. I have bucked, if you will, interest groups, or have pushed back on interest groups simply saying, how is this in the best interest of children? And if they cannot answer that question, then I have to ask myself, I have to be able to say to them, well, then what can you do for our children? And to me, that's important, that we do what's in the best interest of children.
All right, thank you so much. Mr. Pendergraph, how would you handle public criticism or pressure from interest groups, sir?
All right, that's a great question. And I do agree with Ms. Alger. It's first and foremost about the children in our school system. It's not about special interests. It's not about me. It's not about Ms. Alger or anyone, for the most part, sitting in this crowd, except for some of the young folks that have come out here. We're out here trying to do what we feel is best for these young folks. So we need to ignore those folks that are coming out here, whatever that means, whether it's political, financial, it doesn't matter. We need to be doing what we need to do as a city of Newport News, because it is important for us as a city of Newport News to ignore what's going on out in the world, what's going on out in the state, and figure out what Newport News need, because we are a community. We need to be figuring this out, and we need to be ignoring what all of the financial crap that goes on within our school system, because there's plenty of politics, there's plenty of social justice issues that's going on within our school system, and we need to get in there, because I'm the only one that had a student forum to figure out what students wanted from me. What do students need from their education system? Because it's important for me, because I know they can't vote, but that doesn't matter to me, because those are the folks that are living the education system that we're providing them. So that's why I did that, all right? I had a special education forum. Those folks needed to tell me what they needed from me, because I didn't know, I'll be honest with you. So we need to get out of the special interest programs, we need to get out of the social and politics and get back to what's important, and that's fundamentals of education.
Hold on one second. Okay.
Can I? Yes.
Oh, I need to go to the final comments.
Okay.
I need to move to the closing.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So, Mr. Pendergraft,
Yes, ma'am.
I want to give you an opportunity to close, and then Ms. Alger, I'll give you that same opportunity.
Awesome. Once again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank Ms. Alger. It's not easy to come up here on this stage and share your opinions and your thoughts with folks out here. This is probably the toughest part, of the election process. But November 7th is around the corner. This is a chance for you guys to go out there and vote for what's important, and that's our children. All right. I want to take the politics out of schools. I want to take everything outside of what is important, and that's safety and education. I want to bring to our school system the robust financial literacy, talking about credit, home ownership. We are going through a gentrification down in this neighborhood, and guess what? There's a lot of folks that don't own their homes, and guess where they're happening to them? They're moving. They're getting pushed out of this community. And if they own their community, guess what happens? That doesn't happen. So for me, financial literacy, mental health, supporting these teachers, supporting the staff, they're going through a whole lot of issues as far as discipline. We need structure. We need for folks to follow this rights and responsibility handbook that's out there. We need us as leaders to support this school system. Ms. Mitchell can't do it alone, all right? We need to rally around her as a community to let her know that we are here for her, and to get in this school system, to do this as a family, as a community, break down these walls of our districts and our cities and do this thing as a family. Family community is the only way to break this education problem we have. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pendergraft. Mrs. Alger? Mrs. Alger, closing statement, ma'am?
Yes. First of all, I want to thank everyone. Thank you for being here. You could have been in so many different places, but you chose to be here because you know that our next generation, it's important. Our education as far as our children is very important. I'm really concerned with the literacy rates that we're seeing. Right now, we have 59% of our students that are reading or meeting proficiency as far as our standards. And at this time, we need to work and focus on what's best for our children in terms of standards in the area of literacy. Yesterday, I had a literacy forum with over 50 people from the different parts of the community because I felt that it was that important to organize. Also, you need experience. This seat cannot be given to just anyone. It has to be given to folks that are able to handle the level of advocacy that we're needing right now. I have lobbied in Richmond. I have been working in school systems. I know how to ask the tough questions. I know what to look for. It is very hard for people to stand in front of me and look at me eye to eye and ask something that I do not seem to understand. I understand a lot in terms of the workings of the school. And my goal is to change the things that are around us that need to be changed. And it can't wait till tomorrow, and we can't wait for someone to learn. We need to do it now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You so much.
This is the program. It's about their money on a particular party.
Do I need to tell that?
I'm sorry.
All right. We're going to give y'all one more question. I'm going to go to Mrs. Alger. How would you encourage collaboration and partnerships between schools, businesses, and community organizations?
Yes, to me, I think we need to start at the school level, and we need to have honestly, our communities, our schools, the leadership at the school reach out to their local businesses, and at that point, be able to reach at the district level. It's important for the businesses to know that we have trust in us, because at the end of the day, when we graduate a student, we want to make sure that that student is ready to work and is ready to go into that workforce. And we also need to invite the businesses into our buildings. They need to see what we're doing, and they need to collaborate with us so that we know that we are meeting the needs of the curriculum as far as the kids are concerned. A lot of businesses have already worked at the state level, helping people in terms of helping the legislators and helping the Virginia Department of Ed in terms of getting those standards that would help local economy, and we need to continue to focus on that.
Thank you so much. Mr. Pendergraft,
Outstanding question.
would you like me to repeat the question?
Absolutely not.
All right.
All right, so I don't know if you guys know that I've been walking up J. Clyde Jefferson trying to get businesses to partner with the school system. Do you know that there's a shipyard that is in our community that the Newport News Public Schools does not partner with? There's Virginia Beach students that come and partner with the Newport News shipyard. That is ridiculous. That is, don't do that. I've already talked to them. So please, let me speak. All right?
What?
No, they're in the back trying to push their hand away, and I don't need no distractions.
Continue with your statement, sir.
All right. And with that being said, I host with the Newport News Fire Department a youth fire camp. And guess who doesn't partner with us? The Newport News Public Schools. We have to go through the Boys and Girls Club as well as the Achievable Dream, because guess what? They will not provide the transportation for them to come to us in the summertime. Okay? So I'm out here trying to do my best to partner with businesses so we can go out and have apprenticeships and internships. I just got the endorsement for our construction and trades committee, okay? Because they believed in me enough to go out here and provide opportunities for children. I got that endorsement.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone this evening for coming out to hear. Oh. Okay. Excuse me? Okay, wait a minute. Hold up. Everybody roll back for a minute. We're going to roll back for a minute. Augie, are we going to have question and answer? How many questions are we going to have, sir? All right. Are you going to give them something to write down, or are they going to come to the mic? Okay. And will you read the question, sir? Yes. All right, thank you. Do you need a microphone? Augie, do you need a microphone? Yes. All right, Terry, Mr. Cullens. Mr. Cullens, if you would pass August the microphone.
All right.
I put my husband to work.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Cullens.
That's what family do, right?
I appreciate it.
Yes, get those specs on.
Question to both. Who answered the last question first?
She did.
Okay, so it's to you.
Yes.
Mr. McGrath. What and who defends your child?
Can you see it? Hold on.
I am Angela, my grandson, was bullied, beat up, beat up.
Angela, hold on. Come up here. He's going to come to the mic. But, Angela, I'm going to ask the question, and then allow Mr. Pendergraft and allow Mrs. Algier to answer it, okay?
You know I'm born and raised here. You know I know protocol.
I'm
Angela Harris, and on the news today, my grandson, Nasir Quick Harris, was attacked by the security guard after being sexually assaulted. Then he was punched in the face. So my question is to both candidates, right? Who defends the children when everybody has what is it called, a rights and responsibility book? And when I get to the school today, Mr. Burson was gone. The security guard don't know nothing. Everybody rolling their eyes.
Angela,
so
just the question, please.
Who defends the children?
Okay.
Because we haven't had nobody in 30 years since Mamie Bako.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Mr. Pendergraft?
All right, so when you drop your kids off, or your children off to the school system, it is our responsibility to make sure that they arrive in the same condition, go home in the same condition as they arrive. It is our job as leaders to make sure that our staff is doing what needs to be done to ensure that our children are safe. And it is our job as a community to rally around families when they're going through things, because this is a family environment, in my opinion, that we need to be doing this thing together. So we all need to stick together when things are happening to the injustice of our children in this community, that we should be standing up together and fighting for each other. It's not just me, it's not just you guys. We should be doing this as a community, as a family. But ultimately, it falls on the leaders of the school system. All right, and as a leader of the school system, that falls on Marlon to make sure that I provide an environment for our children to be safe. Okay, so if something is not going on, I have to correct that as a school board member. All right, we have to do this as a community. It's just not on Miss Angela at this point. We need to rally around Miss Angela. If she's having issues with her grandchild, we need to be rallying around that family as a community to make sure what's going on is solved. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Algier, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, where's Ms. Harris? Hey, Ms. Harris. Ms. Harris, first of all, I want to apologize for what's happened today. And what I want to say is that it will be investigated. That is our obligation. As a district, everyone is given what's called due process. And that is part of the law. It's constitutional law. And so when an incident occurs, first thing that is done is it has to be investigated. So, Ms. Harris, I am certain we've got school board members that are here, and they're hearing what you're saying, and they'd be more than happy to speak to you as well as I would. Thank you.
Thank you so much. August, next question, sir.
Why is there no help for special needs? We have a father here that'd like to explain a little bit more.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening.
So it's been a lot of culture shock for me. My son and I, we came from Southern California, from LA, and we were used to the school system, so I know everything is different, right? So I came in one day, my son, he always leaves clean. I clean his shoes. I make sure he's clean every time he leaves my house. But I come in his class one day, and they're sitting there and they're watching YouTube videos, just cartoons and stuff. And my son is nonverbal. He cannot express himself. He can't put a sentence together or anything, but his thing is math. Mm-hmm. He loves numbers and everything, but as far as trying to get an advocate, I have to go all the way to Virginia Beach to get help. There's regional centers and all kind of stuff, and I have been trying to get someone that can be with him in class. He doesn't get homework like that. He just does not get pushed. And he goes to a good school, but when it comes to the special needs, they just throw him in the trash can. And I'm pretty close to wanting to just relocate, because I got the bread to do it, but I would rather stay here. Everyone in this community has been very nice to me. I really like it, but I have to try to make sure that he can become a productive citizen, and that's my job.
Thank you so much, sir. Mrs. Alger?
Yes. You know, that's exactly what I fought for a long time, is the rights of kids. There was a time that people would not even allow for children like your son to be in a general classroom setting. And I can tell you that I taught in a self-contained classroom, and teachers would lock their doors because they didn't want my kids in their classroom. And that, we've come a long way. I've got to tell you that much. You mentioned YouTube videos, and that to me is an instructional issue. And that needs to be addressed at the principal level in terms of making sure that the instruction that your son needs is being met. You've got an IEP. That IEP is, that's your contract right there. That's what you and the teacher sitting down and bringing to the table all of your concerns and saying, this is what I expect by the end of the quarter for my child. This is what I expect by the end of the year. For all of you to agree, for you to be able, if anything, for the teacher to show you, how is it that you're getting my son in terms of linguistics to verbalize. There's a lot behind it. And also making sure that the principal's going into that classroom to observe and providing you feedback in terms of, are the needs of your son being met? You have that right.
Thank you so much. Mr. Pendergraft.
Thank you. First of all, it breaks my heart to hear your story. And it's not a unique story to yourself, because it seems like the more I get into this whole school board politics, special education has been ignored for years, and it just breaks my heart. For me, I've been going out and doing as much activities with families with children with special needs, so I can understand how to serve you better as a school board member. And she is right, that is an educational issue, all right? We should be providing every opportunity for our special education children possible, and that means going out and making sure that they have before and after care, and, you know, after school, once they graduate, making sure they get job placements, actually teaching them something, what they're you know, interested in, and figuring that out and building upon that, because they shouldn't be left behind. They shouldn't be ignored because they're not quite like everyone else. These children have abilities that are unmatched, you know, so these children can go on and do wonderful things in our society. So we should be, as a community, as a school system, providing opportunities for those special education students to be successful when they leave school. I have children that don't have IEPs, that don't have a placement in our school system because they say they can't find a teacher for those kids. Guess what happens? They sit at home and they don't have any opportunities.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pendergraft.
Okay.
August?
The next question deals with math and literacy rates have dropped during post-COVID. Is this the case in Newport News, and what can we do to fix this problem?
Mr. Pendergraft?
Okay, awesome. Let me explain something to you. I've been in the fire department 16 and a half years, and it is currently now that we have to spend 2 weeks in the beginning of our academy to teach studying habits. For us as a fire department, we never had to do that before. We're so busy worrying about the distractions in the world and putting these social issues and these politics on our kids that we don't teach basic issues anymore, like, basic things like reading, writing, and math. We are so busy worrying about teaching a kid about politics, and instead of teaching them, they can barely get to algebra before they get to high school. Come on now, what are we doing? We should be teaching these children how to deal with financial issues. We should be teaching them about how to read, how to write, how to get job placements, how to be entrepreneurs. This community only can survive if we get out here and do what we need to do as leaders in this city and provide these opportunities for these children. We're not in a position where we're teaching them what they need to be successful in citizen, career, and college ready. We're not there because we put distractions in our school system, and as a community, we need to be saying enough's enough. As leaders, we need to be saying enough's enough. Let's get back to the basics. Let's get back to what's important for our children to be successful when they become adults. Let's teach them how to read. Let's teach them how to write and do basic math so they can be successful when they get out in the real world.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Alger?
Yes, I had walked into a school that had a 40% pass rate in terms of literacy. And I went, and when I got into that school, first thing I did was look at data, look at the practices, look what was going on. One of the things that I found, and I'm finding that across the district, is that we need to be able to speak with one voice. We know what the evidence is saying in terms of reading. We need to teach the science of reading. Right now, in terms of the pass rate, I've already analyzed the pass rates when the standards came out. First thing I did was look at what the district has done, what have we done across the schools, and what can we do better. And I can tell you right now that there needs to be a lot of training. We need to emphasize foundational skills and look at that K through 2 pipeline to make sure that we're meeting the needs of students. One of the things that we need in terms of our folks like yourself is making sure we're going into the schools and supporting them, such as with tutoring, and that's something that's coming along the way. So there's a lot that needs to be done in order to increase student achievement, but that should be our main focus. And someone like myself, I turned a school around. I know what to look for. I have been there, and that's my promise. When I come in and when I get elected, my promise is to make sure that our school, all of our schools, get accredited.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Alger. August, do we have any more questions, or is this the final one,
This
sir?
is the final one, yes.
All right.
It's in reference to transgender students.
Okay.
Speak to your point of view in regarding to transgenders in bathrooms, locker rooms, and on girls' sports teams.
All right, Mrs. Alger?
Yes, in terms of with the transgender, first of all, we're talking about a small population of students, 1%. That means 1 in 100 students. We have, when you look at the percentage of kids that are failing in terms of reading, it is a lot higher than that, even across the state of Virginia. That, to me, right now, that is not an issue that we've had in terms of our district. I have talked to different teachers, I have talked to different folks, and what they're saying to me is this: we want to teach. We want to teach. Thank you.
Mr. Pendergraft?
That's not what I'm saying when I go to school board meetings. You know what draws the biggest crowd when we're talking about transgenders? It's not when a kid isn't able to read. Those parents don't come out for that. What they come out for is when we talk about transgender and a lot of things that doesn't even matter at the education level. Like you said, I agree with you on that. There's kids that can't read and do math, and yet we're steadily talking about the same thing. I can't judge a child because they're gay or they're transgender, and I'm not going to, all right? And I believe that if we're gonna go out here and if a child bullies a child because they're transgender, we need to be able to take care of that issue, okay? I don't agree with any bullying on any aspect, okay? So we need to be focusing on what's really important in our community, and that is the reading and the writing and the arithmetic that we've been talking about the entire time on the stage, but we also need to make sure that we are protecting all of our children, not just a subsection of our community. That is a very small section, like she says, so it doesn't matter if you're white, black, or you're gay, you're straight, or you're whatever it is. We should be protecting all of our students in our school system, regardless of what they believe in, and that's where I believe, that's where I stand on. We're gonna keep fighting for all of our children, and we're gonna get back to what's important for our community, and that's reading, that writing, that math, and providing opportunities for our children.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pendergraft. August, do we have any announcements, sir?
Yes. First of all, I'd like to remind everyone that voting is going on. You can early vote tomorrow, all next week, by going to your city hall or even up there at the Center City. But early voting is going on. It is alive and well.
Until Saturday.
Until Saturday. Also, we just want to thank these two powerful candidates for coming out and sharing their views on education.
Give them a round of applause. Thank you.
As a community, you've got choices, you've seen them out, you know what types of things they're about. You just need to decide when you go into the polls exactly which way or what kind of support that you would like to have coming from them. But I think they're both two very, very good candidates. And to our host or moderator, Ms. Vicki Collins.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you very much, Vicki, for just leading this conversation and directing the questions as a professional should. Thank you so much for all that you do, okay? And for, I think we lost our MC, but she had to go to class.
Yes.
The president of the NAACP, Jennifer Brooks, certainly want to thank you for your time. And is Reverend here?
Oh, he's in the back.
He's in Reverend Johnson, Reverend Dr. Reverend Johnson, thank you again
Absolutely.
for
Thank you.
not only just giving us your facility, but also lending your expertise with making sure it goes through very well. We greatly appreciate the service you provide to the community as well as to the city of Newport News. Again, thank you all. I think we are at a point where we can depart. And at this point in time, I would say, for those of you on the stage, please stay. I have a few pictures to take of you. You know, we'll make sure we document this. And thank you so much for coming out and spending this evening with us. We greatly appreciate all that you do. And have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. We really appreciate you doing your civic duty, and make sure you vote. You can vote early on Friday, vote early on Saturday, and vote on Tuesday. Only one time. Only vote once.
Thank you so much.
Marlon? Pleasure. Absolutely. Oops, excuse me. Hold on. Let me cut my little mic.